Hey guys, Tim Bratz here. Hey, today I have something that I think is one of the underlying secrets of why I've had a lot of success in business. And I want to share the philosophy with you guys. It actually has scientific underlyings, and I'm going to share a graph and a chart with you guys so you guys can understand the mindset and psychology of what happens whenever you start something new and how we think through that, so that way it'll set you up for success in any new endeavor that you pursue and you're not jumping ship too early. Check this out. All right, so back in 2005, when I was a sophomore in college at Miami University, which is outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, I got recruited by a painting company to do one of these college painting programs. So every other weekend, I would drive back to Cleveland, Ohio, 4 hours away, throughout the entire second semester. So in the wintertime, right? January, February, March, April, and I would go and knock on doors in many feet of snow and ask people if they want to have any painting done over the course of the summer. I learned a couple things by going through that training, by going through that program, that I want to share with you guys, that I think has been an underlying factor of my success. I know it's been an underlying factor of my success, but I never really connected the dots on it until I was asked a question on a podcast the other day of how did you deal with all the garbage? How did you deal with all the BS when you got involved in real estate, with roaches falling on your head, with fleas all over your pants, with tenants burning you, with contractors screwing you over, with lenders leaving you high and dry right before closing? How did you push through all those different things? And I've always told people, I knew it wasn't an experiment. I knew that real estate would eventually work, and I knew that you could make a lot of money and build a lot of wealth through real estate. So I knew it would eventually work. Back in 2005, when I was painting those houses, I learned about this graph that I'm going to share with you guys today. And so it's essentially an offshoot of a thought process called the Dunning-Kruger Thought Process. The Dunning-Kruger Thought Process is a graph that shows your level of confidence and competence in any new activity that you begin. As your competence increases, your confidence increases along with it. That makes sense, right? But early on, whenever we start something new, there's a few phases that we go through. And this is going to be when you start a new business, you start investing in real estate, if you join a mastermind, anything that you do, whenever you start something new, you go through this psychological process. And I learned it back in 2005, but I never really correlated it to why I was successful in real estate until just this past week when somebody asked me, why'd you stick through it? And it was a lot of those things I believed long term, but I also understood this thought process. I understood this graph and where I was on the chart, which made me competent or aware of the situation and where I was, and me just understanding that I needed to get through the next phase of that graph. So let me share this with you. Take a look at this graph. Look at this graph! This here is the Dunning-Kruger Thought Process. And it shows on the y-axis confidence, and it shows on the x-axis competence. And you go through a few phases. First, it's, I know everything, I'm super confident, I can do whatever. And as you learn a little bit more about whatever the new activity is or the new venture is that you're pursuing, you realize, maybe it's a little bit more complex than I thought. And then all of a sudden, you learn even more about it and you realize, oh my gosh, I'll never understand this, I'll never get this. And then all of a sudden, it starts making sense. And through this process, because you're learning that you don't have the level of competence, your confidence reduces substantially. But as you start learning a little bit more, start making a little bit more sense, your confidence starts increasing, and eventually your confidence catches up to your level of competence. I want to show you kind of an offshoot and where people are in we can call it the Bratz Thought Process, right? How about that? No, I'm just kind of making this up. But I think there's a couple levels deeper on this that I want to share with you. So I put a new graph together, and on the y-axis, I have the level of excitement, right? And then I have on the x-axis the length of time that you're doing any given activity. And then I have two lines on this graph. One coincides with the Dunning-Kruger Thought Process that I would call the confidence line. And then I have a straight 45-degree angle of a competence line. And I think it just kind of dives a little bit deeper in this whole thing. And if you realize, whenever you get started in anything and you're very early on in anything, the reason your confidence level is so high is because your level of excitement is so high. And because you're excited about something, you're learning something, you know nothing about it. But because you're starting it and you're learning it, your level of excitement and your level of confidence is super, super high. Then I remember, buying my first rental property and going through that process of thinking, oh my gosh, this is like super cool. I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know anything about it, but I'll figure it out as I go. And I was very excited. So I was able to start taking action. As soon as I closed on that property and I started like, oh man, I have a plumbing issue. I have a zoning issue. It was a duplex, but it was only zoned as a single family. I found out the plumbing was tied into the neighbor's plumbing, and I had to go through this whole process of getting the plumbing and getting my own meter for the property. I went through, how do you change out carpet? How do you change out light fixtures? I'm learning all this stuff and realizing how much I didn't know about it. And all of a sudden, realizing that my competence was lower than the confidence line, my excitement fell off pretty dramatically. And this is where a lot of people quit. This is where a lot of people fall off. This is where a lot of people go back to doing whatever's comfortable, right? Because their level of excitement drops off, and it's less than their level of knowledge in what the activity is that they're doing. This is the most important part of when you should not quit, right? Because if you can get through this phase, this stage right here, and you start growing the competence level, the level of knowledge that you have about that activity, then I can assure you your confidence level and your excitement level will grow with it. So whenever you're starting something new, if you're starting the gym and you're going to the gym and you're not seeing the results and you're not having the level of confidence and the level of excitement, in that week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5 down the road, because you're not seeing the results that you're seeing, I promise you, you just keep on doing the work, and all of a sudden you will start growing the confidence, because you're going to see the level of results that you're seeing. The competence starts increasing, right? And I'm trying to use something that's more ethereal, like mindset and knowledge, and trying to compare it to something that's more tangible, like actual gains in the gym and working out. But it works very much the same way, right? It's just the intangibles of, as you learn new things, if you feel yourself lacking excitement, if you feel yourself lacking in confidence in any new venture that you're pursuing, the answer is not to quit. The answer is to increase your level of competency. Increase your level of knowledge in whatever that activity is, whatever that new venture is. And the more you increase your level of competency, the level of your excitement is going to grow, the level of your confidence is going to grow, and eventually those two things grow in line. Your competence and your confidence end up growing together in perpetuity then. And that's kind of like what got me through phase 2, got me into phase 3. I kept on growing and growing and growing and understanding more, and now my confidence is super high because my competence is super high. I've done so many transactions, so many real estate transactions, so many deals for a long period of time, high volume for a long period of time, that I'm that confident in every deal that I do because my competency is so high. We have SOPs in place, we have checklists in place, I got a team in place, we have every sort of KPI and metric in place to measure the performance of our team, that we're that competent about what we're doing, which makes me that much more confident, which allows me to then jump on here and share insights and share knowledge, share skills with you guys that I wouldn't have done earlier on because I wasn't confident enough in myself. So the more your level of competency increases, the more your level of confidence will increase. Just ride it out. When your excitement drops below your level of knowledge, keep going. Do not quit. I promise you, if you can just get through that phase, the gates open up and the opportunity opens up big time. So I hope this is helpful for you. If you got some good takeaways from this, please put it in the comments below and share this with somebody who's starting a new venture, so that way they can understand the psychology of this and they can see it through all the way to the finish line and have the successes that I know you're going to have now that you know about this stuff. Appreciate you guys. Be your best.